Problems with representative realism led Berkeley to argue for the theory of idealism. This is an anti-realist theory that claims that all that exists are ideas and there is no material world. Berkeley coined the phrase "SAS specific," meaning to be is to be perceived.
Berkeley's idealism follows from the fact that he was an empiricist. He thought meaningful concepts must be based on experience, and that we are stuck behind the veil of perception, so we cannot form a meaningful concept of matter. It's hard to think what matter is by itself without thinking of a particular material object with particular properties. We don't have a clear concept of pure matter.
An advantage of sorry.
This point can be illustrated by showing that the distinction between primary and secondary qualities is mistaken, as you could not imagine any primary qualities existing without any secondary qualities. For example, you can't have a meaningful concept of an apple if all of its secondary qualities, such as the smell, colour, taste and touch, are stripped of it. This example shows that secondary qualities must exist in the mind.
An advantage of idealism is that it is immune from the scepticism of representative realism. If there is no external world, the problem of not being able to gain knowledge of the external world disappears. However, idealism doesn't explain why our experiences are regular and ordered. If there is no material world, why do we have ordered experiences?
But why should the material world be regular and ordered? If there are two radically different kinds of stuff that make up the world, like matter and the mind, it seems impossible to explain how they could interact with one another. This leads to the interaction problem. How could matter cause ideas?
Another serious problem for idealism is the gap problem. If idealism claims that objects only exist so long as they are being experienced, then objects would surely pop in and out of existence when they are not being experienced. Their existence is full of gaps. For example, when we put an apple in a drawer and close it, it ceases to exist, but pops back into existence once the drawer is opened.
Berkeley replies by agreeing that the idea of concepts popping in and out of existence is absurd. However, he solves the problem by saying objects are always being perceived and experienced, but by who? Not us, but by God. Going back to the example of the apple in the drawer, when the drawer is closed, although we're not perceiving it, God is, and so it continues to exist.
However, critics argue that bringing God in to save idealism is not acceptable. This God of the gaps reasoning is not good reasoning.
Berkeley argues that rather than bringing in God to save idealism, idealism proves that God exists. He claims that the idea of God as an intelligent, immaterial mind is a better explanation for the existence of orderly ideas, rather than an unintelligent material world.
The last criticism is that idealism leads to solipsism, meaning that all that exists is our own minds. In idealism, there are no physical bodies at all, so we only have experience of our own minds and don't know whether other minds exist. To conclude, idealism presents the radical claim that only ideas exist and there is no material world. It removes the problems about knowing what the external world is like, but only provides a coherent theory of perception if God exists.